Welcome to the RingSpaces studio in Neil on Business. Neil on Business is a show where we dig deep into the entrepreneurial mindset and try to discover what makes business success, from discipline to disruption. I'm your host, Neil Darling, entrepreneur, father, husband, and straight shooter when it comes to what it really takes to win in business. Each week, I'll plan to sit down with movers and shakers ranging from former Marines, business leaders, bold thinkers, and disruptors who traded uniforms for boardrooms and built successful businesses and brought the attitude and fortitude required for success. If you're looking for real conversations about leadership, grit, and building something that lasts, you're in the right place. Let's get to work. Welcome. I want to welcome you, David, to our podcast. This is Neil on Business. We're at the RingSpaces studio. I'm here with my buddy David, who's a customer of ours. David, we're going to kind of just go through some things. I am a little bit fascinated with you. I got to know you. You're, like I said, a customer here. You are a Marine.
Yes, sir.
I made the mistake of saying former Marine to some, and I got beat up pretty good. So not a former Marine. It was a Marine. That was your former job, I guess, but you're always a Marine. Right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to find a little bit about you. This is Marine May. We have several Marines who have sat down with me. We're launching a new podcast here and getting some content together, really with a focus, at least in May. We call it Marine May. We're trying to talk to former Marines. We've talked to officers, we're talking to enlisted, we're talking to active duty, we're talking to reserve, and they've all either have a side gig or a business or entrepreneurs or are interested. And you certainly have a tech background, MOS and the Marine Corps. So I really want to kind of explore some of that. And I want to learn a little bit more. We're going to talk a little bit about mental health. And certainly in a RingSpaces context, that's kind of how you and I got into discussions. I've done some research as part of this business as far as, coming out of the pandemic and looking at what customers need and why they need it and augmenting that to have something that's, worthwhile and a value and helps us maintain customers. But ultimately, it benefits people to have what we call work-life balance and other things like that. So let me get started here. David, tell us a little bit about you. Start from the beginning.
I joined the Marine Corps in June of 2013. Mm-hmm.
You're 18, you just got out of high school?
No, I was 19.
19,
So
okay.
I graduated in 2012, just like every other headstrong 18-year-old. I told my parents I was going to move and do it by myself and, the cool things, being an adult. So I moved to Virginia.
Yeah.
I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was realizing this was not the way I wanted to live, and I joined the Marine Corps.
So you just walked in. You talked to your parents at all? You just sort of did that on your own?
Nope. My uncle was a Marine. I always thought it was really cool. Always been fascinated with it. And, the Marines are the best of the best. So
yeah,
that's where I went.
So you're in Virginia, so that it means you're an East Coast Marine. Which means you went to Parris Island, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how was that?
Awful. I went June, July, August. So the hottest parts of the year. Yeah. You walked outside and were already drenched in 3 pounds of sweat.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Yeah. I'd do it again.
And the bugs in South Carolina at that time of year, I mean, they look like small drones, right? I mean, they're
everywhere.
They can carry livestock away.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
Definitely. So you got through boot camp. Mm-hmm. It was terrible. A little tear gas, a little yelled at, a little hazing.
Absolutely.
And then what? Where do you go? Are you infantry? Are you?
No, you go to MCT afterwards, the Marine Corps Training School. It's or combat school.
Yeah.
That's I think a month long.
Yeah.
And then you get sent to your A school. The Marines call it your MOS school.
Yeah.
And that's our mission occupancy specialist.
Yeah.
And I was trained to be a data network operator.
Oh, okay.
So
we used to call you guys data processing Marines.
Pretty much.
That was in the mainframe days, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty much I did servers, laptops, printers, routers, switches, anything that IT.
Yeah. So how was that? Now you're getting trained for not doing that necessarily in a high-end office. You get to do that in like austere locations. So
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Did you deploy?
I did. I went to Bahrain, and while I was over there, we went to a couple other countries over there, and it was fun.
Bahrain that's where
it is a tiny island.
Yeah, it's a tiny island, but it's a headquarters, right, for the Navy, right?
It is.
Yeah, what the fleet is, which is
it is NSA Bahrain, which is the Naval Support Activity Bahrain.
Yeah,
and I was with FASCENT, which is a fleet anti-terrorism security team.
Okay.
So anytime an embassy were to be attacked or anything like that, they would send us.
Oh, okay. Yep. So, like, what did you have to do as part of that team?
Oddly enough, I wasn't IT. I was a satellite marine and a radio marine. So I got trained on how to deploy our rapid response kits and how to bring up communications for our teams while we were in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, gotcha. So Bahrain, where else did you have to go when you deployed?
We went to Syria, Jordan.
These are all embassies that we had to close? Is that pretty much?
Yeah. We no longer have one in Yemen.
Yemen, right.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Tell us about Yemen.
Don't go there. If I could go back, I'd probably go to Syria again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yemen was just a little sketchy. We had, you see all the YouTube videos and the Facebook videos of the Toyota Highlanders with the 50 cows on the back.
Yeah, the technicals, right?
Yeah. That is exactly what Yemen was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Crazy to think.
Yeah, and it must be intimidating to see somebody point an anti-aircraft gun, somebody 50 yards away. I mean, you do not want to be on the receiving end of that.
Not at all.
And there's a lot of them because I guess they're affordable and easy to, weld together. Interesting. So how long were you in the Marine Corps?
8 years, 1 month, and 1 day.
Okay, so you were a non-commissioned officer, right? So
I was.
Yeah, E5?
Yes, sir.
E5, okay. And how was that?
It was... It had its ups and its downs. I joined as a data Marine, so the Marine Corps couldn't really keep us because you couldn't pay enough.
Right.
So they would instead give you promotions.
Okay.
So me and my good friend Langmead, he stayed in the Marine Corps and continued getting further education.
Yeah.
So he was able to get out as a E7 gunny, gunnery sergeant, and I stayed as a E5 because I have a very sour taste for all staff NCOs, E6 and above.
Yeah.
And I wanted to lead my Marines from the front lines.
Yeah.
So E5s do that.
Yeah.
E6s and above do not.
Yeah.
So
more administrative.
Exactly. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be hands-on and teach them life skills and how to be an adult.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah. So you were in there for a total of 8 years. Now, you mentioned that you're now you're service disabled, right?
Yes.
So tell us about some of the things that injured you while you were in the Marine Corps.
One of the big things is always funny. Marine Corps are big on pull-ups. We do a lot of them, and they never teach you how to properly do them. They teach you to go up and then drop, and then go up and then drop. That's incredibly bad for your shoulder. So I have a labrum tear. My rotator cuff is torn, and I had bicep tendinosis. Okay. So my bicep, it's supposed to connect all the way back here. Yeah. Mine connects way up here.
Oh, wow.
Because there was just so much stress on it.
Yeah. I
messed up my knees. I'm flat-footed now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a whole lot of everything.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
I'd do it again.
So tell us a little bit about the mental health side. So did you take a couple of hits with that? But I'm not trying to get personal. Please don't share anything.
Yeah. I lost a lot of good Marines, a lot of good friends, and everything decided to finally catch up with me when I got out of the Marine Corps. And to say it bluntly, it sucked. I had an overwhelming amount of emotions that I didn't know how to deal with because the Marine Corps doesn't teach you about emotions. Yeah. The Marine Corps teaches you there is a action happening. You are reacting to the action. There is no emotional thing to make that decision. You don't use your emotions.
Yeah.
You do what you're told. You do what you were trained to do, and you're an emotionless fighter.
Yeah.
So when you get out of the Marine Corps and maybe other military branches as well, you have to deal with all that stuff that you tucked away for years.
Yeah.
And when it all came up finally, I had enough, and I didn't want to be here anymore on this earth. And I asked my wife for help, and she got me the help I needed. And now I am 6 months. Yeah, 6 months after going to 2 different psych wards.
Yeah.
In a much better headspace, and I want to be here.
Yeah. So part of that relates now in the Marine Corps. It wasn't PTSD. Was it depression from losing others? Is it depression because they were depressed? Was it?
It could be a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So some of your Marines were involved in action. Were hurt. Yeah. Okay.
And so even not in action, I had a Marine commit suicide while I was while we were in Quantico.
Yeah.
You don't deploy when you're in Quantico. None of those units deploy. It is a non-deployment base for the most part. So there's no high stress level.
Yeah.
And the Marine Corps is just hard in terms of, lack of a better word, it's tribe.
Yeah.
And when you get punished and you get kicked out of the tribe, you feel like a failure.
Yeah.
So my Marine, she got kicked out for marijuana use, which is illegal in the DOD. So she thought everyone was looking down on her. She was the best worker, the best Marine, a really good friend. But she couldn't get out of her own head that people were looking down on her after she got kicked out. So she had finally had enough, and she was tired of fighting.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
Because I want to be here to live through her, because that's just unfair.
Yeah.
So I'd always say, speak up.
So I had a conversation with Zach Hancock about this. We mentioned he came back, from Afghanistan, NCO, and trained at TPS. And one of the things he said was because there were so many Marines exposed to these war zones, both in Iraq and Afghanistan, that the good news was you come back and you train in these, in this case, second lieutenants at the basic school. It's invaluable to have people who are experienced.
Yeah.
He says on the other side of things, it was terrible because there's a lot of scars. There's a lot of things that just because of machismo, because of, there are options, I guess, but they're not appropriate.
No.
When you're in this warrior ethos, you have to find a way to provide that. So he said you have hundreds of guys that are just super experienced and they're like not all together and then just not well.
Yeah. There's a lot of battle wounds that'll never close.
Yeah. So that because Quantico is such a training hub.
Yep.
We have in our community a lot of Marines that have scars that just can't be seen.
Yep.
And again, I hate to, I'm not trying to make you an example, but
yeah.
I was really impacted from the first time I met you. You're always so honest, and I love your background. I can talk tech with you. We talk about scripting, we talk about automation, we talk about what you're doing with your business. But we have on the screen, I believe, the Harvard Business Review. There's a quote just about work-life balance and other things. So how is that journey from getting the help that you need, and like what path are you on a path to recovery? Can you give us an idea?
I love sharing about this because I'd love to ensure that no one else goes through what I went through.
Yeah.
So I worked from home. So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked for the FBI. That went great until I could not pass a polygraph because my anxiety was just so bad. And it's simple questions, just couldn't pass them.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a job working from home with the company I'm at now, which is 1111 Systems. And I realized very quickly that working from home is not as great as everyone thinks it is. It is great. It's flexible. But when you lose that interaction between other adults and things like that, it really drains on you. And it got to a point where I wasn't doing work. I wasn't showering. I wasn't doing things like this. I wasn't leaving the house. The house felt like a prison to me. So coming here, I'm able to talk to you. I'm able to talk to Michaela. I'm able to talk to Lauren. I'm able to talk to all these great people and feel like I'm being heard. Because when I submitted my initial VA claim about my mental health, they gave me 10% and said it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
That's extremely discouraging. And then I finally resubmitted everything, and they took back what they said, and they raised my percentage all the way back from when I initially filed it. And
you got good news this week.
Yeah, I did. I finally got my 100%. My dad's a great person. He's like, oh, that's good. You get a good chunk of money every month. But when I first did my VA claim, that's what he said. And now he said, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because he realizes after I explained to him, no money in the world would be worth what I go through daily.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad he realizes that, and he's able to tell other people that it's not as good as you think it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay someone this amount of money to have the problems I have.
Right.
And that's just the truth of war.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for them?
The camaraderie in the Marine Corps is strong.
Yeah.
You may bicker and fight like brothers and sisters and beat each other up, but at the end of the day, that person on the left and right of you will die for you and protect you.
Yeah.
And it's hard. A lot of us think that it's not hard to get out and it's not going to be any different. Having that sense of being part of a big family, it does weigh on you eventually. Yeah. And I think the big thing I would always recommend is say something. If you're struggling, there are more people like you struggling. Yeah. Since all my mental health crises, I have found out that there are tons of people living within 10 miles of me that also have these problems. I go to different groups. I see different people. We all have the same issues. Some of us just can't handle them the same as others.
Yeah.
And there's no embarrassment. There's no shame. Stick your hand up and say, I need help.
Yeah.
Because that is the easiest thing to do.
Right.
It seems hard in the moment because the mental stigma or the stigma around mental health is, men don't need help.
Yeah.
But that's not true. Raise your hand and say you need help. Someone will answer the call.
I mean, my conversation with Zach, and Zach's your neighbor here at RingSpaces, customers, and successful insurance agency, we talk, and he said something a little negative about the Marine Corps. He said, ultimately we are expendable. And, you can visualize that. You say, you're meant to charge the machine gun nest and not everybody's going to live. But it's those invisible injuries. Does it also apply to that? And
Yes.
Again, you told me a little bit about your story with the VA and, the 10 to now to 100, which is great news. It's a good follow-up. But, you get that doubt that says, we can't see. You can't see what's going on.
It's very discouraging.
Man up, Marine. It sucks. You take 2 Tylenol and
change your socks.
Yeah, and change your socks. Get dry socks on.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And move on. But call us if you have any problems. And it's just they don't. It's just. And I think that's what's even with the VA. There's there's just too many people, with real issues, and that's not only the tragedy of war. It's prolonged conflicts. I mean, you talk about Afghanistan. It's like 20 years of people being deployed and not necessarily high intensity conflict the whole time, but not getting what they need, and the separation, the anxiety, the family.
Absolutely.
And it just goes on forever and ever and ever. I think Zach was like total of 7 years between Afghanistan and Iraq and then Afghanistan. So it's just an amazing sacrifice from the normalcy of life. It has to have a tremendous hidden toll.
Oh, yeah. And I think the worst part about it is, I've talked to my therapist many times about it, is it needs to be that way.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
The Marines are the best of the best for a reason.
Yeah.
When something needs to be done, you send them in.
Yeah.
We are heartless, emotional killers.
Right.
That's what you're trained to do.
Yep.
So when you get out of the Marine Corps, that's not your job anymore.
Yeah.
You need to get back into being a regular person.
Right.
But your entire Marine Corps career, they don't teach you any of that.
Yeah.
So it's a necessity. It's an evil that has to happen, I believe, because we're never going to have world peace. I'd love that.
Yeah.
But I realize that's not going to happen. So we need people like that. But at what cost?
Yeah.
Because, like you said, there's a lot of veterans that have mental health problems. That's why we have 22 a day not here with us every single day.
22 a day, yeah.
22. And that's hard to imagine.
So it's like, I guess in the Marine Corps, you certainly have your left and your right. You got, and they know you well enough. And again, some of them are knuckleheads, there's no question. But that you could always turn to somebody and maybe deflate the issue a little bit.
Absolutely.
Or let off some steam. Getting out, though, you're saying it's different. Your friends
is.
are still, they're there, but they're not seeing you every day. And you're, you're part of this unit, and then you're in your living room, trying,
exactly
to do work.
Yep.
So you're an expert in networking, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me about that, because I'm fascinated. Because every time I talk to you, you are a precursor to automation. Like there was always like manual things. You had to go program things on the network, and then there's some basic things that happen. Now with the benefit of scripting, well, tell me about your scripting experience.
I've programmed since I was 14 or 15.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for 15 years now, going on 16. And I like to use Python now. I've used that for probably the last 10-ish years, give or take.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
I'm a lazy person by trait. So if I can make the computer do it for me, why not?
Yeah. I would say you're an efficient person.
Oh, absolutely.
You're a pragmatic person. You're a skilled person.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a lazy person. You just said, hey, I'll figure out a way. And it
Always.
will be done in a timely manner because it's going to be systematic.
Yep.
It's going to be...
It's easy and repeatable.
Yes.
And
ultimately, you're able to do a lot more. As
exactly.
A result.
And I'm able to provide.
To monitor it. Obviously,
exactly.
If the script breaks, you can manually go in and make whatever changes. But that's fascinating. So if someone says, hey, I'm involved in networking, what can I do? A lot of people say, oh, cybersecurity. But even that, you have to have... If you have Python skills, you can do a lot, right?
Absolutely.
You always should say Perl, but Python... and any other scripting languages that you think are really useful in a network and systems management standpoint?
YML, just learning how basic YML structures is. It's a file
YML,
structure, or YAML sometimes.
Yeah.
Learning how the file structure works.
Yeah.
Learning Ansible. Ansible's helpful. I don't use Ansible. It's not bad,
Yeah.
but it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to type out every single line of code.
Yeah.
It's already built for you. But learning like NetMiko is a library, fantastic, made by Kurt Byers. I met him at AutoCon when I went to a couple conferences for network automation.
Yeah.
Great dude. And that library allows you to log into many different things and send commands and do a lot of other things that you don't have to do in the back end.
Right.
So you can tie in your Python directly to sending commands to a switch.
Yeah. So what do you make of AI right now, and how, because you're always you're a little bit half empty. I love you because you got a dry sense of humor, but
Yeah.
you're like, AI is going to change a lot that people don't realize. Right?
Absolutely.
We're not just talking Chat GPT and
No.
getting help writing an email.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think is going to happen.
People don't really realize how much AI can do. And I think the fear of AI taking your job is not valid. AI is going to take my job. Mm-hmm. Any kind of programming, any kind of monotonous tasks, pulling reports, things like that, AI is going to take. That's going to be the first couple jobs it takes.
Yeah.
AI is not going to take anything that requires human interaction, nursing, food, waitress, things like that.
Yeah.
Because people still want to talk to someone to order their food.
Yeah.
Do they care if someone cooks their food? It's 50-50. But you want to talk to someone while you order it.
Right.
You want to make sure everything's correct. But AI is going to take my job and a lot of technical jobs easily, I think, in the next 10 years.
Yeah. So Mark Zuckerberg, I was watching, reading something on him very recently, is talking about having a virtual friend.
Yep.
So what they're doing, and this is my generation has been telling this younger generation, they're looking at every one of your posts. They're looking at every one of your pictures. They're looking at every one of the posts and pictures of people around you, your friends and your family, and it's ingesting all that.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily humanoid yet, but they're creating a friend for you that has a lot of knowledge based on everything you put on Instagram and everything you put on Facebook through 10 or 15 years. I've been a member of Facebook since 2009, and I don't even like it, but I do like it that they have my pictures because I can go back and find stuff. But they're creating, at least I have an 86-year-old mom, and they're saying old people need somebody to talk to. They need a companion. And I kind of hate it. I get it. And on the other hand, I'm like, this AI has no human experience. It has no emotion.
Correct.
It's feigning emotion. It's feigning empathy. It has no patience for you. It ingests data, and it's trying. It doesn't give a rat's ass about you, right?
No.
I mean, and it's like, this is the latest thing that they're doing. And I'm like, man, I kind of hope it fails. Like, empathy is a human emotion, and it's not something that can be,
I don't think that's the right path for AI to go.
Yeah.
AI, like Boston Dynamics has really cool AI.
Yeah.
Robotics, not AI. But if we could do things like that and incorporate AI into things like that, where they have Spot the dog, he goes around hazardous places and gets temperatures, gets readings, gets things like that, for corporation speak, that saves people money.
Yeah.
That's what they want to hear. But for, people that care about other people, that puts a lot of people not at hazard anymore.
Right.
That allows us to be safer and more efficient.
Yeah.
And moving boxes from a very hot warehouse in the summer. I did that as a kid. That was awful. If you could load boxes with a robot, it can work 24 hours a day. It doesn't need a break. And it doesn't succumb to any kind of heat stroke or heat injuries. So, again, from a corporation standpoint, they work more, you don't charge as much, and you don't need insurance.
Right.
So from their aspect, it's great.
No OSHA violations.
Exactly.
Robot, yeah.
But I think that's the way to go. But AI as being an emotional support person, I can't see it.
Yeah.
And Google's currently getting in trouble for that now with their Gemini.
Yeah.
They were told to disband Google and Gemini as separate businesses because they feel as though Google has too much information that can feed their AI faster than everybody else.
It's like the forbidden fruit. Like, if you go and create this, engine that's going to just, be smarter than humans and be able to, take over.
Yep.
Everybody's like, gosh, don't do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't help but bite that apple, and we're just going to cross the, and I'm not sure that we haven't, we just don't know it yet. But they're going to cross that threshold.
Oh, yeah.
And, and then you got to look at, like, Microsoft has just purchased 3 Mile Island, which is the old nuclear power plant that had an accident, but it's apparently safe. But they're reopening the plant. They're paying billions of dollars
for AI power
to feed the power to AI.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, well, even around here in Fredericksburg, where the chamber had a great event, and they're talking about data center here, data center there, and you're like, gosh, it's because they need to process all of this stuff forever.
Yes, and that's a big thing about AI. Like, if Microsoft is opening an entire nuclear power plant, that's a lot of employees it has to hire.
Yeah.
Yes, AI may take a few jobs, but that's a lot of jobs needed to run a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
So definitely. Hopefully it'll balance how many people are going to lose a job.
So where is it in the tech space for you? I mean, you're saying, that's going to take my job.
Yeah.
What's the answer to that? So wait, where are you heading? Where do you think you're going to go with your? Yeah, obviously you're smart enough to pick up another skill or focus, but wait, what do you think for a future or former Marine or somebody who's coming out, like, who wants to follow your path? What skill set do you think makes the most sense?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Me personally, I'm going to do something requiring physical labor.
Yeah.
That won't be AI fixed for a while. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
What about cybersecurity? You think that's also going to be?
Yes, because it's going to be better to catch fingerprints from different kinds of viruses, Trojans, etc. It's going to be more accurate. It's not going to have that human interaction of a human possibly missing something.
Yeah.
It'll be able to go through thousands of thumbprints to say, yep, that throws up a flag. We should review it, break it down. A computer can 100% do that faster than a human can.
Yeah.
We have programs now to where when we're seeing suspicious traffic, we send that traffic through our programs, and the programs tell me that's sending data back to China.
Yeah.
So why do I need a human to send that traffic?
Right.
Or send that data to the program?
Right.
You wouldn't. So same with networking.
Yeah.
AI is eventually going to say, hey, that looks down. We should reroute our paths. So it's a lot of things that humans do now, like monitoring things.
Yeah.
Not going to be needed.
Yeah.
I have my own stuff.
Right. Let's talk about your stuff, because you love working for your company, and
I do.
But you have a side gig. What is your side gig, and how can you help people?
I am Epic Hosting, and we do virtual private servers. I'm a team of one. Sounds crazy, but I automate everything.
Yeah.
So when someone wants something, I click a button, it's created. That's it.
Yeah.
Whether that be a gaming server, whether that be a storage server, whether that be just a regular Linux VM for you.
Yeah.
I click a button and it's done.
Yeah.
When someone needs a firewall rule, they submit the ticket. It comes into my email. My automation looks at it, determines what to do, and then creates the rule.
So if anybody has a lot of sites, anybody's interested in saving some steps, anybody wants, obviously automation, if you got to do one thing on one site and then you got to log in, you got three firewalls and 3 different sites.
Yeah.
And you got to manually do it now, that they should talk to you, because you'll look at that and you'll be like, hey, let me get you set up.
Absolutely.
And there'll be savings in that.
Yep.
But it also allows your folks who are doing that manual technical labor, which is famous at the Marine Corps. I mean, when it was like one guy would just plug his job, plug the power cord in the back of the router, and then somebody else would put it was like, that's my job. I want all 7 layers experience, but this.
Yep.
I'm stuck on layer 1, or management. Say layer 8 management, but that's changed a little bit.
Absolutely.
So if you have a small business that just needs some advice, they can go to Epic Hosting and they can look you up, or they can reach us. Or is there a phone number? Can they call you?
Not right now, but you can reach out at epichosting.dev. Dev.
Epichosting.dev. Is there? Do you have an email there too?
Yes, my email back there is D Larmore, so DLARMORE at epichosting.dev.
Okay, cool. And they can reach out and say, "Hey, I got a question. I got a problem." And you do it efficiently. It's very because you love doing it and you love helping people.
I do. I strive on our business motto is I want to be the stepping stone.
Yeah.
I want you to outgrow me and go to AWS, go to Google Cloud, go to Microsoft Azure.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to stay with me. And
Right.
I don't want you to stay with me because
Yeah.
I want your business to grow.
Yeah.
And that's the end goal. Save
Yeah.
you money so you can save money to get bigger.
Yeah. So I hope people reach out. You're a great guy.
I
You're
appreciate that.
fascinating. You're so honest and you're so authentic. And you're struggling, but you're making progress. And
Absolutely.
I hope people reach out. And I think we're better off just getting to know you. So
Yeah.
last point, you have 2 beautiful German Shepherds.
I do.
And people know RingSpaces allows dogs and puppy. And David came and said, hey, I got these puppies. I want to socialize them. Is that all right? And we were like, because puppies are normally nuts,
Yeah.
But you got 2 great dogs. So what are you
do.
doing with the dogs? Are you giving back a little bit?
So one of them is going to be a service dog for me. He's going to help me out with my anxiety and things. I don't like people behind me. I don't like people really close to me. So
Yeah.
he'll make sure that doesn't occur. And the other dog is our family dog. And we're just excited to grow them up. And
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. I mean,
They're well
literally
behaved.
I love having them here. It's so great. It's gotten wonderful. You're obviously doing a great job training.
I appreciate
them.
that. I've
And,
tried very hard.
They literally just light up their own. I'm happy to watch them grow up a little bit. And
I
maybe
appreciate
keep
that.
having them come. At least one of them come by once in a while.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll bring both again. That was interesting.
Yeah. So, David, we love having you as a customer. Thanks for sharing your story here. We're just
Absolutely.
getting this podcast on, so we're swaggering our way through, but we really appreciate you being honest with us and just giving us some things to think about. We thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
And
Thanks for having me.
We're always here for you, too. You always can reach out, but we appreciate having you, and we hope to see the dog soon.
Absolutely.
And we hope that people will reach out to Epic Hosting. All right?
All right. Thanks,
Hey,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks for tuning in to Neil on Business. If today's episode hit home, do me a favor. Leave a review, share it with a friend, and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. And if you're ready to lead with clarity, courage, and confidence, keep showing up. Until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and keep building. Again, this is Neil Darling from RingSpaces Studio, and this is Neil on Business. We'll see you next time.